This week, Nintendo snaps our hopes for a foolproof Joy-Con. Tinder lets you buy your match a Lyft. And Twitch suffers a major data breach. It's Monday, October 11th, 2021, and this is episode 605 of F5 Live Refreshing Technology, a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat, through a podcatcher like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, TuneIn, or a myriad of other options, through our live stream platforms, livestream.com, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or of course on our website, PLUGHITZlive.com. Thank you for making us a part of your day. There are two ways that you can do that. The first is you can join us live Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern by going to f5live.tv/join us. There you can chat with us during the show and give your feedback on the topics as we talk about them. Or you can always subscribe by going to plughitzlive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows, including F5 Live, the Piltch Point, PLUGHITZ Live Presents, and more. And of course, you can find all the ways to watch, listen, and follow along. Now, of course, tonight is not Sunday, so the opening was a little wrong, but that's okay. We've had a lot of stuff going on during the weekend. We've had 2 weekends of Roboticon. We've had personal oddities. It's just been weird. Tonight works out well, and it's always good to see you, Avram.
Yes, great to see you too.
I always hate when we have to cancel entirely. I much prefer when we can figure out another night that we can shift it to. And with Roboticon,
definitely.
Oh, it's the only option.
Yeah, definitely better.
We have done, over the last 2 weekends, we have done something like 30 hours of broadcast. It's been absolutely wild, but it's been a ton of fun. Hopefully everybody's been following along. We've been hosting on our Twitch channel, the Roboticon TV channel. There's also a Roboticon Tampa Bay YouTube page and a Facebook page. But really, Twitch is the place to be. And I say that for that broadcast and for this one, because it's the easiest way for us to watch the chat. So definitely follow us over there. But how have you been since we didn't figure this out for last week?
Yeah, I've been all right. Nothing particularly exciting going on except for, the Windows 11 launch, which we'll talk about later. Otherwise, it's been a pretty quiet week or so. So yeah, nothing for better or worse, nothing much.
Sometimes that's the way you want to go.
Yeah. I mean, now I shouldn't say that's nothing much because I have worked many hours on Windows 11 how-tos. We've got a lot of Windows 11 content and there's a lot to talk about, but
true. That's
the main thing.
Yeah, I've definitely been following it for a number of reasons. One, I think we've discussed in the past that one of the computers in the office is just outside of official support range because of the missing TPM, which I have not installed yet because, prepping for Roboticon. But also, we've got one computer that's not officially supported because of its processor, and I think we're going to be talking about some of those oddities later too, right?
Yep. I actually can show you how to get around the requirements.
Excellent.
There is a script that you can use that we've written about that allows you to get around the CPU and TPM requirements of Windows 11. Granted, there's some catches to that, like you may not be able to download updates after that, but
Little
but
things like security.
little things like that. But like if you're like me and you just want to run it on like a virtual machine, for example, so you can play with it, then you probably don't care about like you can always upgrade it up, just reinstall it or whatever, because it's not
Right.
really your real computer. So
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. I look forward to talking about that a little later in the show. But I guess we've been gone for a while. Our first topic is a big one because it's actually from not this week, but last week, because we needed to talk about it. So I guess let's get right into the news. This week's Nifty Gifties and F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new laptop, a tablet, Xbox games, or a whole lot more, you can get them at the Microsoft Store. And remember that current students, faculty, parents, and active military can save up to 10% on almost everything. And to browse the products and learn more about the discounts, you can go to f5live.tv/Microsoft. So before we get into this topic, I want to talk about a previous Piltch Point topic that ties in with the Microsoft Store. So we talked about being able to find products that are in short supply, and I managed to finally get an Xbox Series X this week because I followed the instructions from the Piltch Point a couple of months back.
fantastic. Which
So,
instructions in particular helped you?
the Hot Deals, is that the name of the app? Hot Stock.
I think hot stock. Yes,
Hot Stock.
that's it.
Yeah. So I got a push notification that they were in the Microsoft Store. Whoop! Off I went, and hopefully it'll be delivered soon. So, huzzah! It works.
That's great. Fantastic.
If there's ever any question about the legitimacy of apps like that, I can personally attest to that it worked. So,
Great.
but obviously we were off last weekend, and because of Roboticon, our team was off entirely preparing for it, and so what we missed was Amazon's new products that they launched. They've got some good ones. They've got some bizarre ones, as always. And so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. First is their Blink wireless doorbell, which is wired or wireless, which I thought was an interesting thing. They're officially competing with themselves, which I thought was
Right.
odd.
So, how would you compare this to the Ring?
So I looked at some direct comparisons. This one offers in one product the ability for it to be wired or wireless, but what it doesn't come with is the alert hub or sync module. That's what they called it, which costs a little more, but that brings it up. So it's $10 less than the wired Ring, and then with the sync module, it's $10 less than the wireless Ring. So generally it's less expensive. It's still got the same high quality video capability. It's still got the ability to respond to it through all of your Echo devices. There don't seem to be a whole lot of things missing, if anything, and it's $10 less.
So I didn't realize Ring had gone down to 59. Last I checked, it was $99 for Ring.
For the wired one?
I think maybe for the wireless.
Yeah, I think the wireless one is 99, and this one with the sync module, I believe, is 89.
The sync module does what? Exactly.
It's the thing that allows it to be wireless and be useful, so you can get your notifications, you can hook it up into your Alexa and all that.
Yeah, I mean, because I can't imagine too many people have an Ethernet near their front door.
True. True.
I mean, that seems like an uncommon situation to have Ethernet wired to near your front door.
Yeah, it's all
So
very strange on that, but the fact that it's even at in the full wireless mode, the $89 versus the 99, I don't. The only difference is that this doesn't dial into the Ring service. It stores stuff to its own version of a cloud backup, but uh,
and how much is it? The
um
cloud
a, fa-
backup service, right? Because
a fair question. I don't remember the all the details. Um, 30-day trial, Blink subscription plan, or you can do locally. You can save locally with it if you don't want to go to the.
that's interesting because my mother has a Ring, and basically it's not that useful to her because it doesn't. She'd have to pay, I think, something like $5 or $10 a month to have it record. So she doesn't bother. So she can see who's at the door right now, but she
Mm-hmm.
can't see if somebody came by and dropped her package a minute ago or whatever. So
Understood.
yeah. Well, the thing is,
It's
and I know we
actually
broke.
possible that the sync module is only for doing things locally. Now that I'm on their website and looking more at more details about this, the wired version might just be for wiring into like an existing bell for the
Right.
doorbell, and for maybe power. But it looks like it's
I
talking
mean, you
about
have to
it might have
use
Wi-Fi.
the existing. Yeah.
It
Interesting.
actually runs on two AA batteries for I think up to 6 months.
Oh wow,
Uh
that's
huh.
pretty impressive. Yeah, with when we installed my mother's, we had to like unscrew her doorbell, which was probably like easily 50 or 60 years old, and and attach this. Although we didn't mind because we didn't want to we liked the sound of the original. In fact, at my house, that would be one of our biggest complaints. Right, is we want to keep our existing door chime
Mm-hmm.
because our house came with like ones that actually like chime. They're like metal things or whatever that
Nice.
bang each other or whatever. So I'm like, hey, I don't want to get rid of that for some cheap electronic noise. But the yeah. Anyway, I mean, it's good. I mean, I guess it's good. I still have my feelings about having like that kind of data sent to the cloud. I mean, I guess it's better having it pointing outside your house than within.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, I mean that's a decent deal. I know a lot of people want that. So Ring, the most famously rejected device item on Shark Tank, right? They I don't even watch Shark Tank that much, and I happened to watch the time when Ring came on, and they said, "What kind of burglar is going to knock on your front door?" And so they didn't want to fund Ring.
Oops.
They didn't want to. The sharks didn't want to fund Ring. They thought it was a bad idea. Um, and now you see that not only is Ring a huge leader in an industry it created, but now it's being copied also by its own parent company. So
Right.
it created a market that
Sure.
I don't think people knew they wanted.
I think you're right. And speaking of Ring, one of the other things that was announced was the Ring Alarm Pro system, which is similar to the previous Ring alarm system. Um, it's got 4 window and door sensors, a Z-Wave base that also acts as a Wi-Fi 6 router. Um, it's got a keypad and a motion sensor. So that's an interesting set of things. At $299, it's a decent price, and can be used with the Ring um, monitoring plan, which is an interesting addition to it. That is different from other Z-Wave stuff if you were to get another Z-Wave powered thing. I like the fact that it's got a Wi-Fi 6 router built into it. I think that's a pretty clever idea. It also comes with a Z-Wave extender in case you've got something in a place where the relays choke. You know, a garage door or something, you get a relay in between. It seems like a pretty good little set, especially for $299.
Yeah.
And that takes care of the issue of cameras pointing into the house, because in this kit there are no cameras. It's all done through more traditional security stuff, you know, window door sensors and motion detector. So, and I like the keypad for arming and disarming. Makes it feel a little bit more like a traditional security system.
Yep.
Did you see the smart thermostat that looks like nothing?
It looks a little like Nest to me.
Except that, like, it's a white body with white numbers that are just basic 7-segment displays.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look as nice as Nest, but it obviously looks like they're trying to, you know, come to, this is Amazon's answer to Nest.
Yeah.
It's
it's no Glass by Johnson Controls.
I mean, ultimately, I don't know the market share of these. I would love to know, but it seems like these days, people, if you want smart home, there's two ecosystems. There's Amazon and there's Google. And then you can get things that are outside of those ecosystems, you know, that are on more open standards like Zigbee and Z-Wave.
Right.
But a lot of people are buying things. Oh, is it compatible with my assistant? I'm going to run everything from the assistant.
Right. And you know, I mentioned the Glass in particular because I have one, as do my parents, because I loved the aesthetic of it less than the other stuff. But yeah, it works with both Google and I don't want to trigger it in anybody's house.
Right. Well, you know, yeah, it's easy to accidentally trigger Google too, but you have to say something before the word Google.
Not quite as easy as my accidental triggering of Apple's nosy little friend occasionally during the show.
Right.
But it's an interesting look, and it's definitely inexpensive at $59.99 without the if you don't need the C-wire adapter, and $84.98 if you do. Way less than the $249 that the Glass premiered at, for sure. But again, this is designed to be a simple thing that has to be on the wall, that's intended to be used through the very full-featured companion app for Amazon's assistant, or through the assistant herself, where you can do all the things. This is designed to be pretty simple. Very little to it on the wall. For me, it's a good sign. Basically, there's only a couple of companies when it comes to thermostats that, like, long-term have ever mattered, and it's Johnson Controls and Honeywell, and this one's made by Honeywell for Amazon. So that's a pretty good sign that it's a good thermostat. It's not just a kitschy tech device. It's a good thermostat. So that's important, right? We get into these things. Kim Kelly, the CEO of Hampton Products, talks all the time about how, you know, they're a lock company, they're a security company that added tech to their products, as opposed to being a tech company that's trying to do security. They make things like Benji Lock, for those listeners who may not know. And so, you know, they're a security company that added technology, and Honeywell is a thermostat company that teamed up with Amazon to add smarts. So that seems like a good pairing to me. Then we've got some of the I don't know products. You've got the Halo View, which doesn't seem like a bad product. It just seems like they're way too late to matter here. I don't know. Am I wrong there? What's your name? Avram? They're Amazon. You're Avram.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see the point of having another fitness tracker. I mean, I guess there may be people who want something. I mean, again, it's the ecosystem, right? I mean, I guess they want, if you really want to have your fitness, if you want to have Amazon running your life, uh, the I really don't want to have my fit. I mean, I really am reticent about having my fitness data go anywhere. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
even me having it, I don't even want me to have fitness data. So, you know, it's yeah. I don't see I don't see this as being great. But I mean, look, I guess if you want to fill out an ecosystem of stuff, Amazon wants to fill out its ecosystem of stuff, and just by
Yeah.
being part of Amazon, it has, Amazon is now has been a hardware company for a while.
Yeah.
I remember when Amazon first came out with its Fire tablets, and people thought that's crazy. Who wants a tablet from Amazon? Or, I mean,
True.
the one that they haven't gotten back into, and I don't think, and I hope they don't, was phones. Right? Remember when they had
Yeah.
a phone for a
Oh
minute
yeah.
there?
Oh.
So,
I mean, other than the kin, maybe it was possibly the most disappointing phone
yeah.
launch.
I mean, if Amazon wanted to, it has the power probably in the marketplace to now create a palatable uh, phone.
Yeah.
It tried to innovate at that time by doing
Uh huh.
something weird with the cameras, whereas if it just wanted to say, like, just have another opportunity to get your data and to promote Amazon shopping to you, it probably could find a way to have somebody manufacture phones for it that were
Yeah.
Amazon branded and had Amazon uh, stuff all over them. But uh, that just feels a little. Some of these things just feel a little intimate to me for like the shopping site that wants to sell me things to have them inside my home, inside in my
Mm-hmm.
phone, uh, whatever. Which I guess leads us to the next one, which is the Astro.
Yeah. Yeah. So this one's got all kinds of issues, right? Um, from inside the company. So the Astro is a robot. It looks like it's halfway between an Echo Show and a Roomba, but it's got a periscope on it, which is its own kind of weird thing. Uh, and it's able to like follow you around or follow intruders around. We all remember those little robots that like the little Sentinel robots from when you were a kid that don't actually work, but every kid got real excited about them. This is that, but Amazon big,
I mean, the
and it's
thing
weird.
is, telepresence robots, right,
Mm-hmm.
have been now. There's an interesting question as to whether telepresence robot is a great thing or not, but
Sure.
is very useful or not in a world where people have phones and tablets and whatever to talk to each other. But effectively, this could be seen as a telepresence robot,
Sure.
except that it's also Amazon. And again, and telepresence robots do tend to cost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they shouldn't, but they do. Um,
I do.
my friend, I'm trying to think of the name of the company that he does, that his client, my friend Ethan, who runs Lightspeed PR. Um, they have a client that makes telepresence robots, and their telepresence robots are easily, I think, at least $3,000, right? And they are, a good quality camera that rolls
Mm-hmm.
around and is actually probably less convenient than this because it's much, much larger to basically
Sure.
do the same thing. I think one of the things that they found that is interesting in their telepresence robot is that they actually use it for, like, they send it to hospitals to visit sick kids.
Okay.
And so like the kids want to get a visit from an athlete or something like that, or they, especially now with COVID, and they don't want people coming into the hospital, they have, they
Yeah,
put the
that's interesting.
athlete's jersey on. They have arms for it that don't work. They don't do and
Sure.
move, but they can put on a shirt on it. They can put a jersey on it and have it roll around the hospital, uh, greeting people. Now, is that? I mean, I guess it's a novelty, right?
Sure.
Um, is it significantly better than handing somebody a tablet with with a video conferencing app on it?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I love the idea. I mean, if my house were bigger, uh, I would love to have one of these. Let's roll. If I'm not here, just roll around and see what's going on. But I mean, it certainly kind of assumes that you're going to have a fairly large. These things can't climb stairs, so you're going to have a fairly large one floor of your house where you want
Uh-huh.
it to be, and there's not going to be a lot of toys on the floor, pets knocking it over. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, there's just like in the pictures you see of it, it's got enormous space to roll around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know too many people with that much floor space without any stairs or any
Right.
obstruction that would prevent it from being that useful. But
Sure.
I mean, it's a cute idea. Whether I would want Amazon to be
Right.
the one who has that kind of access to my home is another question.
And it's interesting that you mentioned stairs because there was a report from Motherboard that came out where they spoke to some employees who had been on the project, and they said this thing is not ready for prime time. It's running into things. The AI is not great. In fact, it was described by them as terrible. Um, so not a great bit of information to be released the day after this thing is announced. Uh,
I mean, there have been attempts at this before. Does
yeah.
anybody remember the Asus Zenbo?
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
I mean, that was like how many years ago? Was that 6 years ago? 7 years
Yeah.
ago? It came out in Taiwan only, and uh, and they never came out with it in the U.S. Um, so, but it was a similar attempt, and I'm sure Amazon can do better than that because at least Amazon has Alexa.
Oh, apparently with time the face got creepier. There is now a Zenbo Junior and a Zenbo Junior
Yes,
2.
yeah,
And
there was. I remember the Zenbo Junior being at CES again, one that I don't think ever came to US. Um,
the the eyes are like little anime child eyes, and
yes,
they're
yes,
horrifying.
yes. There is definitely going to be, if there isn't already, a Black Mirror episode where it kills. Um,
Oh, for sure. Well, if you would like Amazon to roam around your house learning when you've run out of dog food or whatever weird thing these cameras are going to be used for, you can possibly get one through invitation for $1,000. And if you're not one of the lucky ones to get the invitation, when they launch to the public, they will be $1,500. Yeek. Then there's a couple of weird products. Um, One is the Amazon Glow, which seems to combine a Fire tablet with one of our CES top picks from 2020, the Microvision projection computer. It's got a little bit of both, which I think is an interesting combination. The screen can be used to communicate with family members that are distant, and you can play games with them and things. It's a really interesting concept. It's specifically designed for kids, but it's $250. So I don't know how kid friendly a little portable thing like this is. That's $250, as we've talked about in the past. Kids and portable things can be a challenge. But I don't know. What do you think about that one?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, I just think it's there's. I mean, how much Amazon can people have in their lives?
Right. Yeah. But it is an interesting product. The what appears to be the base for the technology, which is microvision, which this could explain why our microvision video views went up from a year and a half ago. Because they might actually be involved in this, because I know their patents were being licensed. So, the gadget professor Don Bain gave this his top pick from his top pick from 2020, because it was a really interesting product and something that we saw value for our broadcast team. But I don't know how kid friendly it is. But one Amazon product that is kid friendly is Hey Disney. It is an interesting combination of things. It is a skill for their assistant that allows you to trigger through the command Hey Disney. There is an OtterBox built stand that gives your Echo Show 5 a Mickey Mouse belt and ears. And this will be included in all Walt Disney Resort hotel rooms here in Orlando. So it's an interesting partnership. I don't know what it's going to be capable of, what it's going to be able to trigger. Since it's going to be in the rooms, it seems like it would have to be pretty generic, like not person specific. It would have to give like Disney information. I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. Well, I can say is don't do anything in your Disney hotel room you don't want the mouse to hear.
The mouse and the Bezos.
Yes.
Since it's a combination of the two. I don't know what to do with that. But it'll be out next year. It'll be in Disney early in the year, and it's going to launch as a skill for your own personal spy devices. I'm sorry, Echo devices. A little later in 2022. There was also more information, including a possible release date on their little flying drone. But since that's not a new product, I decided not to cover it because we already know quite a bit about it. But it's a security drone. It's weird. I don't know what to think about it. And the good news is we don't have to, because now it's time for the Piltch Point. This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all your devices, and you can get a special price right now by going to piltchpoint.live/PureVPN. And I will tell you, I was recently using that like remote capability feature that we've talked about and don't listen BBC, but definitely used it to trick the BBC into thinking I was in Manchester to watch stuff on Channel 4. So
that would actually be real helpful to me, because my daughter now is really, my 2-year-old is really into the show that is on the BBC iPlayer called JoJo and Gran.
okay,
It is on. They play it on Nick Jr., which she watches, but online, it's not on Paramount Plus, which carries Nick Jr. content.
gotcha.
It's only on BBC iPlayer. So if you want to watch it online, you can't. So in the US anyway.
Well, I found
some clips on YouTube.
I'm going to give our listeners and viewers a little bit of a trick with PureVPN. If you go to our link and scroll down and select 2 years and then move your mouse up like you're going to close the tab, they'll give you an even better price. Just putting that out there. That's a little bit of a trick from the website, in case you're curious. I've been subscribed for a while, but I test that every once in a while, and it absolutely works. And I will tell you that I was testing it on my main computer in my office, which is running Windows 11, which we're going to talk a little bit more about since it's officially out.
Yes. Yes. So, welcome to the age of Windows 11, because as of October 5th, uh, you can now, Windows 11 is an official operating system. Now, if you've been following along, either with our show or just with the news in general, you know that people have been able to use Windows 11 as a beta product. If you were in the Windows Insider program, anyone could get it since June. But it is now, if you've been holding out, it is now officially official. It is final. However, that does not mean that everybody who has an eligible PC, and eligible, we'll get into that in 1 second, can update can automatically update right now, or will be offered an update right now, because Microsoft is rolling it out over a period of months and has said that some folks won't get the offer to upgrade until 2022. Now, there's a way around that where you can get it today, and I'll talk about that in a second. First of all, let's talk about what you need to run Windows 11, and then let's talk about whether you should run Windows 11. So first of all, what you need to run Windows 11, you need a dual core CPU that supports TPM 2.0 security, which realistically means, because they have a list of supported CPUs, you need an Intel 8th gen CPU or newer, or an AMD Ryzen 2000 series CPU or newer. You need at least I think 8 gigs of RAM, or is it 4 gigs? You need at least 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gig of storage, and the CPU requirement is, I think, the tougher one to meet. So if you meet all those requirements, and if you're not sure, there's a PC health check app you can run. But if you meet all those requirements, you can look in your Windows 10 settings right now, and it will probably tell you, hey, you're eligible for the upgrade. And it may or may not say you can download the upgrade right now, or you have to wait. You do not have to wait if you really want Windows 11. There is something called the Windows Update Assistant that you can download from Microsoft.com. Run that, and it will force an update right away, provided that your system meets all the requirements. But let's get to the heart of the matter. Should you even bother? Should you do it? So let's for those who haven't been keeping up, let's take a quick look, and I will share my screen, and you can see what Windows 11 looks like. So this is the default screen for Windows 11. This stuff on top is because I'm running this in a virtual machine. That means it is running on top of my regular Windows, so I can show it to you without interfering with my regular computer. And obviously, you notice that it has the taskbar here, the start centered. You have the start menu here, which does not have live tiles anymore. Got to click through to see all your apps. Besides that, we have context menus that have been shortened. And if you want to see all of the options, you got to right click and see view more options. You have a widget. You have multiple desktops as you had before in Windows 10. You have this widget module, which allows you to it's basically the homepage of MSN. You have the Microsoft Store, which has been given a sort of fresh coat of paint, which may or may not load as I'm trying to show it to you, but it's the Microsoft Store, nothing too exciting. You have Windows look a little bit different. They're a little more rounded, and you have these snap options, which are kind of neat to help you kind of figure out, oh, I want this layout, I want that layout. Of course, this all is assuming you've got multiple windows open. It handles multiple windows and desktops a lot better than it used to, because if you're connected to an external monitor, let's say on a laptop, and then you disconnect, instead of just automatically moving your windows over and opening them on the having to take a space on the laptop screen, it will leave them minimized until you reconnect again or move them. So it handles some of that stuff better, but it does some things a lot worse. First of all, you have a lot less control over the taskbar. You cannot move it. I mean, there's hacks that I can talk about that will let you move it, but officially, you cannot move this. You cannot resize it. What you can do is you can make the icons align to the left if you want. Officially, with the settings menu, you can do that. I can go to taskbar behaviors and I can set it to left, but you cannot ungroup the icon. So if you want to have, let's say you've got multiple windows open. In previous windows, you could say, oh yeah, I'm going to make sure that each of these has its own icon. Can't do it. So you can't easily, there's just not as much control and customization over a lot of things that you had control over customization over. I also personally hate the search menu. On Windows 10, you had it in the bar. Here you gotta, I guess it's effectively the same number of clicks, but you gotta click to see it. The start menu takes up more space, but actually seems to have less on it without you clicking. So there's pluses and minuses, and then it's time to talk performance. So there have been a couple of stories that have come out about Windows 10, Windows 11 performance, and one of them, AMD themselves said, we have to issue a patch later this month because we've seen performance slowdowns in Windows 11 on our processors, and pretty much all of their modern day processors, even first gen Ryzen, second, almost all of the processors anyone would have from AMD, slowdowns of up to 15%, and that is so that's pretty bad if you're on AMD. Another thing that has come out is that our colleagues at PC Gamer wrote a story where they said, "Holy cow! Microsoft's new security setting, which is known as HVCI or memory isolation, can slow down gaming up to 25%." Now, we did our own study at Tom's Hardware, and we actually found it to be more like 5 to 7%. They tested with an older generation processor, and let's also keep in mind that memory isolation is not on by default. So it's a little bit of an overhyped problem. It will slow the way that memory isolation and ultimately it's part of something called VBS, virtualization based security, works, is that it makes sure that there's this kind of a secure enclave in your memory that not all apps can access. So as to protect some of your data, protect even if you got malware, it couldn't reach into that part of your memory. So while Microsoft is recommending that OEMs turn VBS and memory isolation on by default on some systems that qualify for it, and by qualify for it, we mean those with like the latest 11th gen processor or latest Ryzen, the very latest. It's still a lot of OEMs are not going to turn it on. We've talked to some, including MSI, who told us that they're not going to turn it on because it does have an performance impact. So that one might be a little bit overhyped. We have a story on how to tell if you have VBS enabled, which you probably don't, and disable it if you wish. But the AMD thing is really unfortunate. And I guess I come back to this. You do not have to upgrade to Windows 11. There is not a really compelling reason to upgrade to Windows 11. The best features that have been talked about They're mostly UI features, which you can love or hate. Personally, I don't like them. I don't like the less control over your taskbar, a bigger start menu that's more in your face with less information on it, and context menus that make you click twice to see the same information that you saw with one click in previous versions of Windows. Now, granted, visit our site if you do want to run Windows 11 because on Tom's Hardware we have stories about how to use registry hacks to get your context menu back to be a full context menu to to change the taskbar out so that you can do some more things with it, like ungroup, to um, to move it to the top of the screen, to change your start menu. So there are hacks, but if all you got going for you is I'm going to hack this stuff so I get it to be more like the operating system I upgraded from, that's not very appealing. Some
True.
of the I mean the best new feature is this snap. In my view, is the snap feature, and honestly, it's not like you couldn't snap before. The highly touted ability to run Android apps in Windows is not there. So, and Windows 10 is going to continue to receive support and updates till at least 2025. So, there's not a really great compelling reason to upgrade to Windows 11 unless you really like the look of the new start menu. And I guess I can say to each their own. We certainly have a lot of advice on Tom's Hardware for people who want to do the upgrade. But for people asking me, should you upgrade or not? My answer is, unless you really like the look, don't bother.
Yeah, and we talked in previous episodes about some of the issues with the appearance, particularly the start menu, and it's I don't like the fact that that you can turn off the suggested documents or whatever that section's called, but you don't gain that space back.
Yeah,
It's still
the recommended space.
Yeah, you can turn that feature off, but you don't get that space back. It will continue to be dead space with a, hey, did you know you turned this off? That
Yeah, they want you to use the other thing is I just find the whole widgets thing completely useless. So they have that widgets menu that I
Mm-hmm.
showed, that's just basically the homepage of MSN that flies out at you. Okay. By the way, if you change, one thing I didn't mention, it's more difficult to change your default browser in Windows 11 than
Yeah,
10. We have a story on how to do it, though. It's not that difficult. Uh,
and a
and
Piltch Point episode on how to do it.
yes, that's right. We talked about it. So yeah,
We've been getting
it's
a we've been getting a lot of traffic on that this week.
yes, yes. So I mean, look, there are people who are going to want to have the latest and greatest. As someone who works in this industry and has to keep up, I'm running it on my laptop and not my desktop. And I'm running it in a virtual machine so I can do my research on it, tutorials
Mm-hmm.
on my desktop. And eventually, I will have to switch because I got to keep up with what the latest is, so I can be aware of what's going on. But for everyone else who just wants to use their computer, uh, there's not really a great compelling argument to be upgraded.
Yeah, and I will concur with that. I've got obviously everybody knows we've got tons of computers around here, and only one of them's running it, and that's because I had to have something running it to be able
But
to talk about it.
Microsoft probably doesn't care that much about the upgrades, to be honest. I think they're much more concerned about this is a way for OEMs to kind of push new PCs. So at
Yeah.
a certain point, very soon, probably every new laptop that you buy or desktop that you buy will have 11, not 10.
Yeah, probably. I mean, while while watching content on the BBC, I definitely saw commercials for their electronics retailers that were all showing laptops running Windows 11 and talking about it pretty hard. So they're already pushing it hard.
Yep.
So I don't know, but like you said, if people are really interested in it, you guys have a lot of
Yes, we have
support
like
information.
dozens and dozens of articles on Windows 11 on tomshardware.com. Come check us out. We have a review of it. We have how to upgrade now. We have how to avoid the TPM requirements. You can get around those requirements, although you won't necessarily get get updates after that. So that's purely experimental. But if you want to know how to do something in Windows 11, there's a very good, especially get around some of its annoyances. Right now, I'm actually working on an article that sums up some of the stuff called the 11 worst features of Windows 11 and how to fix them. So a lot of things that I just named are on the list. But beyond that, we have it all. We have a lot of Windows 11 information. So come check us out at tomshardware.com.
Very good. Well, as always, Avram, I appreciate it, and I look forward to what we talk about next. This week's Extra Life on F5 Live is proudly powered by Loot Crate. Whether you're a gamer, anime fan, or pop culture aficionado, Loot Crate has got a crate for you. They curate a bundle of collectibles, apparel, figures, and more that you can't find anywhere else. Crates get delivered to your door. It's like getting an awesome birthday present from yourself every month. And to learn more about the crates that are available, you can go to f5live.tv/lootcrate. All right. Now, we talked about some exciting things out of Nintendo a couple weeks ago. But with everything good, seems to come at least something bad. And that is no different here. We know that the newest Switch hardware has just come to market. It's the Switch OLED. And one of the things that people were hoping would be addressed with this new hardware would be the drift on the Joy-Cons. If you've not been active with a Switch, you may not know that they have this horrible trend of accepting input that is not entered from the joysticks. You are talking, but I'm not hearing you. I saw your mouth move.
Oh, sorry. I've experienced that today.
Oh, did you?
Yes,
oh, no.
My son and I spent a lot of time this weekend playing Minecraft Dungeons on his Switch, and we have, first of all, one of the Joy-Cons we can't use at all, and we don't trust, and the other one is just a little bit messed up where sometimes it sticks and I can't move it, and then sometimes it moves itself a little bit. The red Joy-Con sometimes presses its. This is not a. I don't think this is related to JoyCon Drift exactly, but it sometimes presses its own home button when you're using it.
Not ideal.
And that is that is even worse because you're in the middle of a game and it like just suddenly takes you to the main menu. So
yeah, no good.
So, but yeah, we have Drift, and for those who aren't up on Switch, it's like $80 to buy new Joy-Cons. So
yeah,
it is, and I don't think there's really a competent third party. I mean, you can buy third party Joy-Cons, but I don't think anything that's from a brand that people trust.
Right.
And they're not so cheap that it's worth risking it. I think they're like for $40 or $50 you can get knockoff Joy-Cons that I don't know if I would trust. I wouldn't trust.
And of course that's the problem, right? So we were all kind of hoping that the new hardware would come with some fixes. We know that the Switch Lite did address some of it. It got a little better. So the hope was that maybe it would be addressed here in a Q&A that was published. No. Two of the hardware developers have essentially said that the JoyCon Drift is inevitable. The way that the joysticks are designed, there is physical contact between materials inside, and so they will eventually wear out. It was by the general manager of technology development from Nintendo compared it to tires on a car. So that's not great, especially when you take into consideration that I have original controllers for all of the Xboxes, all of the PlayStations, an Atari 2600. I don't have any drift. And maybe the actual design of the joysticks is a mistake. Maybe whatever they did for the
they're using a cheap part.
Yeah, because I've got an N64 controller that I promise has seen more use than any Switch Joy-Con that I've put my hands on.
Yeah,
because we had it in a youth center. I can guarantee those joysticks have been abused, because it's the tragedy of the masses, right? So of the commons. So it's not my thing. I'm gonna really go. And those joysticks work like a champ. It's got to be the actual design of the joysticks themselves. Maybe they should go back to an N64 joystick.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever seen some of the kits they sell for replacing these, you see how cheap it is to replace them. I mean, but I have watched the videos on how you replace the joysticks, and it is not for the faint of heart, because there's a lot of little parts in there that you have to take out to get to the joystick, and there's a very good chance that you can't get it back. There's a decent chance you can't get it back together again.
Okay.
So we have not attempted it. Also, primarily because we have this other problem with home button drift that I have not seen anybody address. Where the home button, which
the silicon pad inside may have shifted a little bit.
So, I think Nintendo should charge less money for these things, and people wouldn't feel as bad. I mean, they shouldn't wear out as quickly as they do. That's for sure. But it cannot possibly cost them anywhere. I wonder what their margin is on the Joy-Con.
Yeah.
Because a pair of Joy-Cons is $80.
Yeah. These are the times where I really miss working at Radio Shack, where I could go look at what our store cost was on something.
But even then you wouldn't know what Nintendo's markup was.
No, but I mean, you could at least get an idea, knowing that there's levels within the company that all were adding a little markup before they managed to make it to a retail store. And you could at least get a feel for what they were charging the company, which they're making money on.
I don't know why there aren't more third-party alternatives.
Right.
Like I mean, maybe that because with like PlayStation controllers, PC controllers, whatever,
everybody's in the game.
Right? So it would be good if there were better alternatives to these.
And particularly from one of the big companies, right? I'd like to see Razer and or Logitech, right? They've been making controllers forever.
Charge a boatload.
And if you only had to do it once, though.
Yes. I mean, I'd
pay 140. Yeah, I'd pay 140 or 150 to get, if I knew that the joysticks weren't going to drift out on me. I'd buy two Joy-Cons to not have to do it again.
Though. When will you know? Right. After you've had it for 2 years. After other people have had it for 2 years, then I mean, if they make it cheap, at least you could say, well, if I have to replace this every year, I won't feel as bad.
Right.
But
it's the Logitech controller model versus the Razer controller business model.
Yeah. So
because we used to sell the Logitech ones for like $17 at Radio Shack.
Yeah.
So those get chewed up. Okay. It's better than a $59 one from Sony for your PlayStation 3.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I would like to see. Maybe it's inevitable that with this type of design,
like Thanos.
Maybe it's inevitable with this type of design of stick. They can't make it work for long. Great. So make them a lot cheaper so we can easily replace them. Because, I mean, I don't even know, or give a lifetime warranty or
I was
something.
to say,
I
have
don't
a
think
better
there's
warranty program.
Although, once again, it's not a great situation because if I were to ship back my son's Joy-Cons, and I don't know when that we would get them back, and then we could play it, or we could play the Pro Controller or whatever. So you can't really win. It's just the easiest thing would be if it were more affordable.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. It's not the news that we were all hoping for with the new hardware, but I do think it's the news that we were all expecting. I don't think.
Well, it's
I don't think too
honest.
many. Yeah, I don't think too many people were setting their expectations incorrectly here. I think Switch fans had resigned themselves to the reality that this is how the Joy-Cons are, and this generation is lost to joysticks. Oh well, this is where we are. This week's news from the tubes and F5 Live is proudly powered by Malwarebytes. Whether you use a PC, a Mac, or a mobile device, Malwarebytes Premium is the company's strongest protection ever. It fights threats that traditional antivirus software can't stop. It actively blocks threats like Trojans, rootkits, spyware, and more, and you can use your computer and mobile device with confidence and peace of mind. To learn more and to get a special price, you can go to f5live.tv/malwarebytes. So we don't usually talk about dating apps, but this week things have gotten a little interesting with Tinder. Obviously, we know that Tinder kind of changed the way dating apps work. They went from being more profile based to being more swipe on photo based. The company seemed to be shocked that turned into more of a hookup culture than a dating culture, but what they did do is they got everybody else on board. So the company has constantly tried to do things to separate themselves from the dozens and dozens of apps that have mostly or entirely ripped off their concept. And this week we've got two interesting new things coming. The first is a virtual currency. The system was tested on a small number of users, and apparently it worked well enough that it's rolling out to everybody. It's a little bit like getting Xbox points, in that you kind of buy points, and those points are then used to buy things in the app like boosts and other features, going gold. All of that can be done with this currency, but unlike the original Xbox points, you can also earn them. So if you keep your profile up to date, maintain more modern photos, swap things up more frequently, you'll earn some points that you can then use for boosts and such. It's an interesting idea. It definitely feels like it's about 4 years behind the curve, though, because it was definitely like Collision 2018, where all of the in-app currencies were becoming popular. So
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
it does seem. I mean, look, they're trying to increase their engagement, so they're gonna try to do that, and they're gonna try
Sure.
to increase engagement by giving people rewards. I think the Lyft idea is an interesting one.
Yeah,
Uh,
that for me. That's way more interesting than the virtual currency stuff. Is the Lyft feature? So I'm 100% with you. The idea that you can essentially buy your match, and I can't say date because I think we all know how Tinder actually works. You can buy your match a Lyft ride. So that's an interesting idea. The younger generation, the younger millennial and older Z are owning cars less, taking Uber and Lyft more, even outside of just New York, where a lot taxis
you
and
can't
ride
have a
shares
car.
right, exactly, are really popular because it
You,
would be
you
crazy to try and have a car. But this is
yeah.
this is the case here. in the Tampa area. So, you know, that's an interesting way. It's like a Gen Z equivalent of picking your date up to take them out to dinner.
Yeah, I guess so. Sure. Why not? I mean, it. Look, I mean, integration is. I mean, the integration of different services like Lyft here is, is a decent idea. Obviously, they're trying to stimulate more like people to keep up with their profile and keep using the service.
Sure.
So, I mean, they're basically gamifying
Right.
the experience, right?
Which, in fairness,
And
is what Tinder kind of always was, right? It was
right,
instead of looking through profiles and messaging out to people that you found interesting, Tinder changed it so both people had to say they were interested and then a conversation. So now you're looking at matches and there's all of that. Ooh, I got a push notification. I got a new match. Woo! You know, that added some gamification to the dating process in general. So, you know, it's not surprising that they
cool.
have stayed in that mindset, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. The Lyft partnership is a little less partnershipy, certainly a little more partnershipy and a little less integrated. They definitely described it as seamlessly integrated, but in reality, you make your purchase in the Tinder app, you send a link to your match that opens in the Lyft app. It's all very not seamlessly integrated, but it's not bad. It's not a bad flow, but it's not the seamless integration that that Lyft seems to think it is. But it's a decent idea. It's more direct than, you know, having to know where they live to be able to send them, you know, to be able to prepay a thing. You can just send them a credit.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like a. Could you argue this is a safety feature?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure you can, because, you know, having somebody that you have not met come to your home to pick you up is, you know, normally you'd meet, you know, if it's essentially a blind date almost, right? So you'd normally meet at a restaurant or something for that. This gives you the ability to send them a car without having to know where that car is headed, only where it's meeting up with you, which I think is definitely could be looked at as a safety feature.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good idea. I like that one. The other one, we'll see how it works out. In general, you know, with I compared it in the article to Pokemon Go, right? Because you earn currency by doing things in Pokemon Go, but you earn it fairly quickly. So, you know, at that point, the question is what's your turnaround on earning in here versus being able to buy rewards? So I think that'll be key, is having that balance right, that you don't end up with so many points that you don't know what to do with them, but you also don't have to grind like in World of Warcraft to be able to do anything. So, you know, there's got to be a good middle ground, like what Pokemon Go has done. You know, they found the sweet spot on that. Hopefully, Tinder will be able to do the same thing. This DRM, not included on F5 Live, is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. You know you get free shipping, but you get a whole lot more. You get free music with Amazon Prime Music, free TV, movies, and documentaries with Amazon Prime Video, free games and a free Twitch subscription with Amazon Prime Gaming, and a lot more than that. And to learn more, to get quick links to all of these features, if you're not a subscriber, a 30-day trial, or you can give it as a gift, all by going to f5live.tv/Prime. All right, so we're going to stay in the Amazon world, but not in a positive way here for a little bit.
Was it positive before?
I mean, getting free video games is positive.
Yes.
But
That's
so
true. I'm talking about our previous story
yeah,
about all
the
the
top
Amazon.
of the yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the robot may not be terribly positive, but that doorbell's pretty nice. Anyway, so what's not nice is Twitch has been hacked, and not just a little bit, a lot of it. In fact, a huge data cache was dropped on 4chan that comes in at 125 gigs, and it is basically all text. So that's a lot of text. In there is source code for Twitch, the Twitch streaming software, I think the partner portal, and a number of other things. But leaked source code is unfortunate. What's not great is that, like any hack, usernames and passwords are probably out there. Encrypted passwords, so it's not like Facebook. But they are out there, which could be a problem. If you're not on two-factor authentication, definitely turn it on. Recommend changing your password as well. But there's financial stuff that got out. So far, it's not believed that actual bank details, like account and routing numbers, are in the wild or off the servers. But what is out there right now is payouts. The amount of money that has been given to streamers, that has been paid to streamers on the platform. And there are some wild numbers. From August 2019, and I'm not going to say anybody's name, they're not in the articles because I don't think that's appropriate, but we are going to talk about some numbers. From August 2019 to October 2021, the top paid streamer made $10 million only from Twitch. That does not include internal, private sponsorships and logos on the screen, anything like that. Just the stuff paid from Twitch.
Is that
almost
per month,
10,
or
that's total?
Is that per month or over the course of 2 years?
Yeah, it's over the course of the 2 years. But $10 million is a ton of money.
Yes. I mean, I would be very happy if someone were to give me $10 million. I'll take $1 million. That would be good too. But
even over 2 years?
Even over 2 years, yes. But if you look, I'd like to know how much money they brought in for Twitch.
Oh, more than that.
Right? I mean, we notoriously, at least a lot of these YouTube creators or whatever, feel really underpaid for what they drive in. So I don't know if $10 million is overpaying or underpaying.
In fairness, a lot of this money comes from subscriptions, which I think it's a 70-30 split. 70 to the content creator, which is obviously way better than like ad revenue on YouTube.
So I don't know. To me, this sounds like a good news story for Twitch.
True,
right?
I can see that.
Hold on a minute. It's almost like they should have leaked it on purpose.
Maybe they did. No,
I mean,
I'm not suggesting that at all. There's scary information that's in here too.
Don't you think Twitch would like people to know that their top streamers are making $5 million a year?
I will say that the numbers drop quickly.
Right. So
number one is 10.
One of those 80,
number two is
rules.
8.5. Number 3 is 5.8. So by number 3, they're almost half of number 1. Like there's a pretty steep dip.
Right. So in other words, it's not a common situation at all, right? I mean, there's for every person, that is making a full-time living. Let's not even say $1 million. A full-time living on on Twitch,
Mm-hmm.
there's probably, I don't know, 1,000, 10,000 others who are not. So
Absolutely.
it's, I mean, and that was true. That's true with YouTube also, right? So I mean, I'd say more power to them, the folks who are making this money.
Mm-hmm.
I think the real question. I mean, it's interesting to know that there are people making that, but I'm not surprised at all. How much
Yeah,
was
for sure.
Ninja paid for his exclusivity deal when he had one?
Uh, More than he was paid in this 27 month time period uh, by, I think, 3 times, if I remember correctly.
So, so I mean, I'm 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 happy that people are turning this into
Yeah.
a viable business. Folks should have no illusions that this is a likely scenario for them.
No, because uh, here's the thing. I have the list of the top 100, and you pulled one of the names, bloop, just out of your head, and right, and this
Well,
isn't.
everybody knows that Ninja is the most monetized streamer, right? Isn't that common knowledge?
Well, from Twitch in this time period. Now, granted, Mixer was in here, so he was gone for part of this time period. But in this time period, he's 46.
Yeah. Wow.
But
Well,
that doesn't include a lot. That doesn't include his time exclusive at Mixer. That does not include any product endorsement deals or co-branding stuff like his co-branding deal with PSD and stuff like that. There's a lot of Ninja product out in the wild that he makes a lot of money on as well. So as far as overall income, yes, I think Ninja is probably the most monetized, but not from Twitch.
fair
But
enough.
it is important to note, like, so number one is 9.6 something million, and then if you jump down to number 100, it's only 887,000. So I mean, there's a whole magnitude, right, that drops off, just in that top 100, and there are millions of Twitch accounts. So it drops pretty steeply, pretty quickly. But once you get down to number 38, the difference between number 38 and number 100 is only half, as opposed to a factor of 10. So there, I don't know what 101 through 200 look like, but it looks like once that steep drop off happens, it does plateau out a little better. So I mean, there is a lot to be said here, right? There is the ability, if you do it right, you can make a nice living here. These people, that's 440,000 a year ish for number 100. That's not bad.
Yeah. Pretty
So
good.
it's definitely interesting. Now the problem, of course, comes in with the fact that this information existed on a server that was publicly available.
Yes.
And
That's
that's a problem.
yes. But you know, the sad thing is this has become very, very common,
Yeah.
right? Weren't we talking about T-Mobile data breach just a few
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
This is becoming very, very, very common. So much so that we might that there needs to be some kind of new security standard. I mean, at least here we're not talking about people's identification in the sense that you couldn't have an ID theft as a result of this, could you?
So that's our last topic in here. The last bit is there's an unknown factor because this 125 gig may not be everything. And as a partner, there's information that you have to give Twitch, for example, to be paid. You've got to fill out tax documents.
Try have your social security number.
Yeah, if you're being paid as a person as opposed to a corporation, yeah, your social is part of that tax document. So this 125 gigs is still being poured over. We don't know everything that's in this cache, and the hacker claims this isn't all of it. Yeah, so there's our big problem. We don't know what else they have. We don't know what the future holds here. We do know that Amazon, who is the parent company of Twitch, is working real hard to figure out all of what happened here and how it happened, and to try and figure out what data was compromised ahead of maybe a second cache release or an auction on the dark web. So that's where we are right now. We know that some financials got out. We know that the stream keys were all compromised and were all regenerated. So if you use a third-party system like we do, you may or may not have to update your stream keys to work. Fortunately, our system integrates directly, but in the event that yours does not, and you have to use a stream key, it's gone. You have to update it. But we don't know what we don't know. And so right now, that's the scary bit. For a normal, Twitch viewer, chances are it's not that big of a deal. But for anybody who's affiliate or partner level, like we are, there could be, for us, it's paid to a corporation. Our EIN is public record. But, if you're a person receiving checks from the partner or affiliate program, your social security number is in a tax document in their system somewhere. So it's not great. We will obviously have to see with time what happens here, whether or not we discover that something bigger has happened. But, for right now, this is what we know. And obviously we're going to be keeping an eye on this because this could affect us as well as a company, because just before this happened, we got promoted within Twitch and finished filling out all the documents. So, sadness.
Oh.
Well, that is our show. Thank you to those of you who joined us live. We always tell you, ironically, that Twitch is the place to join us, because for us it's the easiest. Tonight, that absolutely came to fruition when the internet choked and the Facebook stream went away. So, if you were watching this later on Facebook, and you have heard what happened, know that Twitch just comes back and works again if that happens. So that's one of the reasons we tell people to join us over there. PLUGHITZ Live is our account over there. If you have Amazon Prime, we've mentioned it before, you can subscribe. You get one free subscription on Twitch. You can help us try and pay for the outcome of these data breaches. No. But yeah, you can help us with our coverage that way. We've also got something new and exciting coming over on YouTube very soon. We're not quite ready to announce it yet, but we've got something cool coming out over there. So check us out on that platform as well. If you can't join us live or not live on one of those, you can always subscribe on your podcatcher of choice. We will again have a weird weekend next weekend, because we've got Roboticon, and then we're actually our production company is actually producing a wedding next weekend in addition to Roboticon. So it's going to be a weird weekend. Hopefully, Avram will say that it's okay to do this again.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. That would be great. That would be fine.
So we will see everybody back next Monday for another show. And I guess with that, on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we'll see you back next week. Ciao. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course hit the notification bell because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.